I am so excited to be talking to Brandon Youst, Urban Farm Academy. What's an urban farm?
Well, urban farm is any spot where you want to grow within city limits or just outside the city, and it could be anything from tomatoes, leafy greens, eggplants, whatever you want to do.
What's like the weirdest place in New York City you've seen someone create an urban farm?
Oh, well, there's an amazing farm on top of the ice building, which is the Culinary Institute called Farm One. And so what they do is all of the chefs that they train get to use produce from the farm right above them.
Oh, that's pretty cool. So
Yeah,
so local is basically the rooftop where they
absolutely.
cook.
Yeah.
So local to table is very makes a lot of sense for them.
Yep. Yep.
So before we get into the specifics, like what got you into this? What were you doing beforehand?
So I used to be in corporate finance, and like a lot of other people, it's a job. You go through college and you're kind of just going along doing what you're told. And I think that mid 20s, a lot of people start to find themselves and they realize I don't want to spend another 5 years here. So it was just time for me to figure something else out.
Well, what were you doing in corporate finance?
Basically, just back end reconciliations, things like that.
What
It's
does
like
that mean?
Wall Street's back office.
So, like, what's a reconciliation? Like, if someone makes a trade, you have to, but it's with another bank,
Yeah,
you have to call the other bank and make sure they got the
there's
shares. And
like book value and market value, and you're just making sure everything looks right. No major accounting is off because, computers are great, but they're not perfect.
so I know some people who have been in that industry. It's a super boring, right? But at the same time, it's one of those things where there's always going to be humans involved because they just want to have that extra human touch. And your salary does go up every year forever.
Kinda.
And they can't really get rid of you after a certain point. Like you're always going to have a job opportunity. So you did take a risk. Like what kind of got you your ears kind of perked up to look into to jump making the jump into entrepreneurship?
It was really podcasts. I mean, you hear information that you can't unhear. I give a big credit to Joe Rogan, who was like a father figure to me and just said things that I needed to hear to give me the confidence that I might have skills that I can take elsewhere.
That's really great. What did Joe say? What was that? Do you remember which
It was
podcast in specific? Or
just the whole thing about taking control of your life. Like, I was just doing what I was kind of told. Like, I'm not passionate about finance. In fact, I hate numbers. I was technically the worst person in that building. I'm very confident of that. But I got promoted, and that told me something. It said that I might have skills that I could apply elsewhere. So, knowing that I didn't want to be there in 5 years or 10 years, that would be not the life that I want. I knew I had to do something. So, yeah.
I think that's the key. Like this has happened to me a couple times. And I'm curious if this happened to you, where I'm doing well in an area or at a job, like you just said, you were promoted, and or in school, and I look around me and I look at kind of people who are, let's say, 10 years ahead of me, and I ask myself, do I like them? B, do I want to be living that exact life for myself 10 years from now? Maybe I do, and then but some things I would tweak, and maybe I don't at all. And that tells me, you know what? I better make a decision, and the sooner the better
Yeah.
because life's short.
You nailed it. I mean, there's my manager sat right across from me. It's like another 10 years, and I get to sit on that side of the short wall, and, that's no fun, and so, podcasts, all the exposure to the new books because you hear new books that they recommend, and it just opens up new worlds for you because none of that stuff is talked about in college or high school.
Right, like, what were some of the books?
Uh, Think and Grow Rich was
Okay.
one for me. Rich Dad, Poor Dad was really critical for me, and then Tim Ferriss's 4-Hour Workweek allowed me to think in a way that now I wasn't looking for a 4-hour work week, but those frameworks that you can apply to think efficiently and, start small and bootstrap it, that gave me a lot of frameworks I didn't have previously.
Yeah, because let's just touch on that a little, and then we'll get into the I really wanna learn about the Urban Farm Academy. With Think and Grow Rich and Rich Dad Poor Dad, it's not so much, I think, the specific advice they give, which, can go either way, and it's kind of being, positive thinking and some of these other techniques, it's hard to know when you're in the actual weeds, no pun intended, of business. Sometimes it's like that Mike Tyson quote, uh everyone has a plan until they're hit in the face, and entrepreneurship, you get hit in the face repeatedly.
Yep.
But I think, and the third book you mentioned, what was that
The
one? Oh, the
4-Hour
4 Hour
Workweek.
Week.
Yep.
I think that one's really good because all of these books, like you say, are a framework. They give you permission. They let you say, "Oh, you don't have to be born into a rich family. You don't even have to have like a brilliant idea. You just need to you need to give yourself permission that you can think out of the box and good things will happen if you manage risk accordingly and build and build and build outside the box. Like the 4-hour work week, he's clearly not suggesting only work 4 hours. He's basically suggesting, work smart
Yeah.
rather than work 80 hours a week.
Yep.
Because if you take what you've been doing 80 hours a week and boil it down to 4 hours, that gives you another 40 hours to work on other endeavors and build a bigger business or pursue many more activities than just one.
Yeah.
He was killing himself working on just one activity when he realized he could delegate a lot and then start exploring other things. For instance, writing a book, and that's what ultimately made him the most amount of money rather
Yeah.
than his business.
And he
So
he speaks to the same things that, like you say, choose yourself. And it's allowing, giving yourself permission to choose yourself and saying, this is really just a game. Life is a game. And let's learn the rules that apply that we can work within. And what they did is present like a whole new board and saying, you can think of things this way. And it's just a whole new way to look at the world.
right, and I think it's very important because in the rules, I think it's a cliche or too broad to say everyone else is just following the rules, like, "Oh, college, grad school, work at an investment bank, work there forever, or work at your job, and you can't talk to your boss's boss, and then you can't start your own company while you're at blah, blah, blah." There's so many rules, and along the way, while you're discovering yourself, people are gonna say, "Can't, you can't do this," and the key to success is finding the right "can't" where you're gonna say, "No, you know what? I can," and you figure out the way to go around that can't. That's
Yeah.
ultimately where success is. So, with that said, how did you make that first, jump towards first of all, what is Urban Farm Academy? How did you make the jump towards it?
Well, the Urban Farm Academy, it's an exploration and learning platform that helps you find your place within food and agriculture. And
What's the problem in the way people were doing it? Like, why can't I just
I mean,
like, we're in New York City, 20 minutes away, there's a farm somewhere.
where do you, I mean, our food system is completely fragile. I mean, we're shipping things in from everywhere. And uh, how do you approach such massive problems? To me, we used to have farms everywhere, small farms all across the country, and we don't have that now because there's a perception that you can't make money farming. And what
Can
I
you make money for me?
I believe you can, and the way that I did it was I believe I have this framework that I call farm fusion, and by fusing agriculture and food, you can create things that people actually want and get the price that you want for the things that you grow. So, for example, I didn't want to quit my high-paying job in corporate finance and grow a $2 head of lettuce. I wanted to turn that into a $10 salad.
Yeah, like, let me ask you a question, like, these guys who sell stuff at farmers markets, are they making money? So that's a local farm that's driving in on Union Square on Wednesdays and Saturdays,
Yep.
and they're selling their bread or their lettuce or their fish or whatever.
They're making some money, sure, but I think there's a lot more opportunity for them to make more money because people aren't looking for ingredients anymore. They're looking for food. When you walk up to a market, you're probably looking for something prepared. You're not looking for the cilantro and the tomatoes and the onions to make your own salsa. And I think we just need to recalibrate what we can do with our own production. So, like I said, I could take that $2 head of lettuce that I never intended on growing and just selling as that. I was going to turn it into a salad right away. And I started with the food truck. If I can put a food truck on my property, I could take it from my greenhouse to the food truck, and then I could do whatever I want with it. And then,
Right, so you can drive the food truck around,
right,
stop outside
right.
a school, and sell pre-made, vegan salads to all the new vegan Gen Z students.
Yep, and
So
if I didn't like the food truck, I could sell it, and I still had my greenhouse, and I can figure something else out.
okay, when you say urban farms, are there farms being grown in the city
Yeah,
and
yeah,
in cities?
yeah. So my thing is,
Because like,
like,
there's rules, like, for instance, I can't grow a fire on my fire escape, for instance.
right, well, in a city like New York, space is, very expensive, and so you can't have, like, giant lettuce farms within the city. I mean, you can, and some people do it, but, man, it's real tight margins, and that's why I always go back to this thing. It doesn't even need to be an urban environment. If you can take you don't have to grow that much, like 5, 6 things, turn it into something. Take that basil, turn it into a pesto, because now instead of selling a commodity, you're selling something a hyper local food product that people actually want.
And
There
it's hyper local and it's made. So it's not like when they say at a restaurant, "Hey, we're local to table," it's still passing through the kitchen where the chef is doing his thing.
Yep.
But the chef in the restaurants wanna do their thing, but maybe someone at home doesn't.
But that's okay. It's really an all the above approach. We just want instead of, like, reaching for that 2% of people that come to farmers markets, if we wanna actually create change, we need to get and reach the mass markets. Like, I need to reach you. If you're not buying my stuff, I'm not doing my job as a business owner and reaching you in the way that you want to be met.
So how do you reach me?
So we do it through delivery service. So, I no longer do the food truck, but we've evolved it into a meal subscription service. So we grow it, we harvest it, we cook it, and then once a week, we come to your house after work and just deliver it, all in glass
Oh
jars.
my god, this is amazing. Like, this week, what could I have done?
Well, we put a new menu out every single week, Indian,
Like, this week,
like,
what could I get?
oh, I don't know the menu week to week. I'm not the one doing it, but we start with our farm. We say, "What's out there? What can we harvest this week?" And we put the menu based off of that. And our customers know they get a new menu every week, and they can pick and choose what they want. And then it's like the milkman thing. The milkman will come, switch out your glass. We do the same
And you
thing.
give me meals for the whole week or
Yep,
just
yep.
s
Breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
how much does that cost?
It's as low as $7.50 a meal.
And so, like, for a week, it's, like, about 51,
Yep,
$52.
yep.
Uh, let me ask you, how did you get customers initially?
Just being out with the food truck. I turned a 1976 Argosy Airstream into a food truck, which was pretty unique at the time, so it caught people's eye.
So the food truck, you didn't make the food on the truck, you would just pack it on the truck and
I would
sell.
make it on the truck. That was my commercial kitchen. I'm all about bootstrapping and starting small. I moved in with my mom and dad for a year and a half while I kind of figured this out, saved money, and built the food truck because I I didn't want to fail. I couldn't fail, and that inability to fail allowed me to think in a way where I can pivot in so many different directions.
I love the idea. There's something romantic about the idea of a food truck. Like, you ever see that movie Chef, of
Yeah,
course, with Jon Favreau?
yeah.
It's a beautiful movie, but it seems like, particularly if you're living with your parents, which, by the way, is hard. You can't recommend that to everyone. Like, how was your social life while you were living with your parents?
Non-existent, but that was okay because it didn't matter.
Yeah.
I was recreating my life. I had messed up by going down this path I didn't wanna go down for the last 10 years, so you have to be willing to put in the work. That was
But
nothing to me.
did you have a so my guess is you started growing a little mini farm
Mhm.
and then using those ingredients to bring them to your food truck, and then in the food truck you would make meals. You would drive around. Where would you drive around?
Well, I would just do events, but really that food truck just stayed on property. The whole supply chain was on my property.
And people would stop. Was your property close to like
I
some?
so when I said meet people where they wanna be met, they wanna be met in their homes. I would drive to them once a week, all of their meals, done, boom,
wha-
prepaid for.
How would people know?
Online, Facebook advertising, Instagram advertising.
So like you got so initially you got basically Facebook friends, and
Mhm.
then people who you reach through Facebook,
Yep.
and they were like, okay, I'll try this.
I live in a city with 30,000 people, so,
What city?
it's New Bern, North Carolina.
Okay. So basically, you reached out to your friends there, and everyone was like, "Oh, Brandon's trying this thing.
Yep.
We'll buy meals for a couple weeks."
I was actually completely new to the area, so I built my food truck at my parents' moved to a completely different state, just got hit the ground running, built the greenhouse, did all these things, and I was ready to go, I just needed to do the work.
And then how has the business? Tell me. So that's the wheel.
Yep,
Is that you want? It seems like the problem you're trying to solve is people want local to table. They want to know where their ingredients are coming from. They want to know that they're eating healthy, but the traditional way was not working. Or what? Tell me the
well,
big
I
problem.
want a business model that anyone can do and can be replicated anywhere. So this framework, this farm fusion framework, can be applied to any kind of farm business where you're creating something that people actually want and meeting them where they wanna be met. So we have another project where we're growing herbs for cocktails and putting flowers in them and doing infusions with those herbs to make specialty drinks because people like alcohol. We can't be idealistic and say, I'm growing heads of lettuce, I'm local, buy from me. It doesn't work like that. We're entrepreneurs too, and it's our job to meet them.
So 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 um again, if I want specialty drinks, I can go to the grocery store. I can
Mhm.
even go to Whole Foods and
Sure,
buy all the
sure,
ingredients.
sure.
What's better about what you do? I could even have Whole Foods deliver for me.
You will not match the flavor. When you're cutting something that was cut an hour ago or just last night, you're not matching the flavor.
Is that really true? So, like, the even Whole Foods or Trader Joe's, which is as good as you could probably get in terms of, a grocery store mimicking the local to table, it's just not as good
It's
as.
not as good. No, no, because those things have been on trucks for weeks and then in the refrigerator. I mean, This is the perfect environment, you have the farm on the roof and you bring it down to the restaurant beneath it, like, there's a big difference, and people are starting to realize that, and that creates so many business opportunities for people. Like, there's a lot of opportunity to get involved in local food and agriculture.
So you mentioned you're not in the food truck side anymore. What how did you expand the business? How did you expand the concept of the business?
Right? So, I mean, the food truck, it's a grind, and
And it's
we
not scalable.
no, it's not scalable. We grew so much where it was just me running it. I was doing everything by myself.
Was the food truck profitable?
Uh, I got killed doing events and stuff because I didn't know what I was doing. So, just like anything else, a learning process. But that subscription, that meal subscription, that's where it's at because you're getting paid upfront and then you're harvesting
And
and
the food
purchasing.
truck would basically deliver. Would it still do stuff on its own,
Yeah,
as a food
yeah,
truck? But
once in a while, but we really just evolved into a meal subscription service. So now I have 2 other farmers that live next to me. They have the same passions as me. They liked growing, they liked cooking, and now they're doing everything. So,
and you taught them.
yeah, yeah.
And so, okay, tell me about the next phase, generation 2 of the business.
Right, so, this was the farm fusion approach that now I say, "I'm handing this over to you, and I want you to run this, and what I'm gonna do is document you running this business and creating the life that you wanted."
So by the way, I think this is the valuable lesson, which is that whatever you get good at the meta version of it, like
Yep,
how would you teach others?
yep,
And that becomes a scalable business.
yeah.
Like the more meta you get where there's still a customer, the more scalable it is. So if I could teach someone now to do those 2 steps, like find something you like, do it, then teach it, and then I will teach you how to turn that into a
Right,
business. Even that's,
right.
that's a multi-thousand-dollar product.
My goal is to have an actual dent in the food system, not just to do something cute in my little town. And the only way that I can do that is if I can show people what we're doing nationally. So they're locally, they're running this service, they're doing a great job, they're amazing people. But now it's my job to show people what this business model looks like. And that's basically what the Urban Farm Academy is.
So this is almost like you're helping people create lifestyle businesses. If you
Yes.
want the lifestyle you want, eventually you'll morph away from the 9 to 5 job you have. You're
Yes.
able to do this, do what you love, and there's various ways to expand, but at the very least, you'll be able to work for yourself.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like none of us are trying to be multimillionaires doing this. That's not the point. We're trying to have a life that we enjoy. And those daydreams that you have of having your own place with the chickens running around and the greenhouse in the back, like we have that. That's I was sitting in an office and now I have all that and I created that for myself. And I know what I would have wanted to learn from in my position back then. And so that's what we're offering because it is possible. And people like, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and the Tim Ferriss book, they gave me permission to think that way. Like no one told me it was okay to have that kind of control of my life. And by having the time, by taking your time, starting small, having a job, you take the pressure off and you say, if I got to recreate my life, what would it look like? And I'm only like 4 years into this thing.
And Brandon, how can people find you? This is I'm sure a lot of people will be interested.
So you can go to urbanfarmacademy.com, check us out there.